Mr. Richard Schmitt was born December 22nd, 1920, and he is an outstanding musician, educator, and friend to many. He played 7 days a week for 16 years and is currently celebrating his 71st year of teaching. Mr. Schmitt is still a young man at heart, and he celebrated his 90th birthday in December. He has played in the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, Lyric Opera, WGN, RCA Studios, and all the big shows. In addition, he has taught at Roosevelt University and the Chicago School of Music, and he has privately taught hundreds of students and professionals.
He worked 3 jobs for 16 years, put 4 kids through college, That's just the type of amazing resilience that I really come to respect about him.
So he's got a really fabulous background, a really caring individual, and then also a great teacher. A lot of people can play, but they can't teach. Mr. Schmitt can do both.
In fact, I have actually been teaching now for 71 years.
Mr. Schmitt definitely has the ability to befriend anyone who comes in his presence, whether it's a worker at Walgreens, a waitress at a restaurant, or some random person walking down the street. He manages to bring a smile to their face and somehow teach them something at the same time.
He's a great conversationalist. Never get bored listening to him, and I think he's very fatherly. He has a fatherly image and a fatherly character that whoever he's with, it makes you feel like you're learning.
He's one of the wisest people I know, and I respect him greatly.
I teach because I studied with a great teacher myself, Mr. Oscar Anderson, and his knowledge was so great that I was able to learn to play the trombone in 1 year, and I want to pass this down to other people because it should be passed down.
So his patience and just his kind of manner of calmness, and that's really fantastic. I love that about him.
Make sure, of course, musically competent, but also making sure we were good people. Making sure that we were on the straight and narrow.
I think he always thought it was more important to pass on his knowledge, what he knew, rather than, accumulating wealth.
He kept his eye out for me, and
He's really welcomed me into his life, and I'm really grateful for that.
His numerous stories. You may hear 1 or 2 of them a couple of times, but for the most part, they're expansive in the depth of content.
Mr. Schmitt definitely cares about you as a whole person, not just a musician.
I kind of wish I had his knowledge. If there was like a machine I could hook up to his brain and my brain and suck it all out, and he would still have it, yeah, I would do it.
When I was 19 years old, Mr. Steiner was then the head of the music department in Lane, and he called up and he says, Rich, he said, you've got to start teaching.
Mr. Schmitt has taught me about loyalty, dedication, and tradition.
He teaches me about a lot more than music. We'll play for a little, then we'll talk for maybe a half hour, or maybe that's 10 minutes, or maybe that's an hour and a half that we're chatting or going on about some life lesson or conversation that I've never gotten to have with anyone else before. And it's like watching an episode of South Park. It's like, oh, I learned something today, It's musical instruction is fantastic. He'll teach me little tricks to help me remember how to play the high notes or how to get things in my head. And he's really patient too, which is just amazing.
One of the most important things Mr. Schmitt has taught me is that the best medicine in life is definitely laughter, and you never know what the future holds, so you should just work as hard as you can and do your best with whatever you're doing.
The secret to success is discipline. Without discipline, you cannot succeed. You have to have great discipline of your own mouth, body, and work habits.
How's he impacted my life? He helped my parents get together in the first place.
Grateful for him kind of taking me under his wing.
Richard Schmitt has been with me along with me just about every step of that journey.
Mr. Schmitt has impacted my life because I feel like, aside from just music, through going to see him in lessons every week, and just I love hearing all the stories he has to say, because I feel like if not for having him as my private lesson teacher, I know we would have never met, and I just really appreciate all the stories he shared with me.
Back in my day, all of a sudden, it comes out smelling like a rose, which was like a compliment.
Be great if you live another 90 years.
One thing to Mr. Schmitt, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Schmitt.
Thank you so much for everything you've given me.
In honor of Mr. Schmitt's musical excellence, superb character, and outstanding teaching, we have started an award in his honor called the Schmitt Award of Excellence. This award will be given to a band student each year who embodies the characteristics that we so admire in Mr. Richard Schmitt.